Bonjour! Welcome back to 2.8. We are now really getting into the meat of this lesson. Our flag is still Benin, in case you're wondering. Talked about it in the last video. Also in the last video, we talked about le passé composé avec être. So you learned how to conjugate sortir and partir. And you also learned that in the passé composé, they both use être as the helping verb. Remember, the passé composé is formed of two words, a helping verb and a past participle. The helping verb is usually avoir, but so far you know three verbs that use être as the helping verb. They are aller, sortir, et partir. You can see here, using être as the helping verb. So today, we're going to learn all of the rest of the verbs that use être as the helping verb in the passé composé. Okay? And there's a fun little mnemonic to remember them. That mnemonic is Dr. and Mrs. Vandertramp. Okay, so each of these letters corresponds to a verb that uses être in the passé composé. Être as the helping verb. Okay, so I'm going to give you all these verbs along with their past participles. Most of their past participles are regular, but there are a few irregular ones thrown in. Also, you already know a lot of these verbs. It's not like I'm about to give you, 10,000 new verbs. You know most of them already. So let's start. The D in doctor, is devenir. Devenir. Devenir means to become, and it does have an irregular past participle. Its past participle is devenu, the U on the end. Devenir, to become, okay? The R in doctor is revenir, okay? Revenir. This means to come back. To come back. And it also has a slightly irregular past participle, which is revenu. This looks like the English word revenue, right? Revenue in English has an E on the end, right? Because it's the money that comes back to a business or whatever, money that comes back, the money you make. Revenir, to come back. Okay, the M in Mrs. is monter. You know this verb as well. Monter means to either get on or to go up. To get on or to go up. You know it in the context of getting on a metro station, like getting on a train at the metro station. And its past participle is regular, monter. It's exactly what you'd expect. The R in Mrs. is for rentrer. Rentrer, which means to return or to come back. To re-enter. Rentrer. Its past participle is also regular. Then the S in Mrs. is sortir. This one you knew about. And its past participle is regular, sorti. Alright, then moving on to the long part, Vandertramp. The V is for venir. Venir. And you can see all of these are related, right? Devenir, revenir, and venir. They're all kind of related. And then the past participle is venu. Venu. Then aller, which you knew about. Aller, to go, is a regular past participle. Then the N is for naître. You haven't seen the infinitive version of this, but you have seen the past participle before. So you can see here, it's né. You've used this to say, I was born, and then whatever your birthday is. Je suis né, I was born. So this means to be born. Naître, to be born. And in that sentence I just gave you, je suis né, if you remember doing that, that is in the passé composé. The suis is the helping verb, être. And then né, the past participle. Then we've got descendre, another verb you know, means to go down or to get off. Then the E, entrer. Entrer, you can see it matches up with rentrer, means to enter. Past participle is regular, entrer. The R is retourner. Retourner, to return. Regular past participle. Then tomber. Tomber, this one you might not know. It means to fall. To fall. Regular past participle though, tomber. Then rester. Rester means to stay. You know this verb. Regular past participle. Then arriver. Arriver, you know this verb as well. It means to arrive. Regular past participle, arriver. Then our M is mourir. Mourir. You can probably guess what it means, maybe by looking at the past participle. It means to die. Mourir, to die. To die. We see this root in English words like mortuary, mortician, Voldemort from Harry Potter, that as well. Then partir, this one you knew. Past participle is regular. Partir means to leave. And then our last one is passer. Passer, which here means to pass. Okay, you know the verb passer, but you know it as in to spend time. If you were saying, like, I spent the weekend at my grandmother's house, you would still use avoir as the helping verb. You only use être as the helping verb for passer if you are like passing in front of something or like passing by something. It has to be related to movement. So speaking of movement, that's kind of what all of these verbs have in common. So verbs that use être as the helping verb in the passé composé have sort of a meaning in common. They are verbs of coming and going, right? Verbs of movement. So to become, to come back, to get on something, to return, to go out, to come, to go, to be born. Verbs of coming and going. Rester is a little bit odd, it means to stay. That's still a verb of coming or going, you just aren't doing either, if that makes sense. But these are it. These are the only verbs that are going to use être in the passé composé as the helping verb. There is, unfortunately, no real trick. You just have to memorize this list. That's why I've given you a mnemonic device. This is the mnemonic device that most teachers use. And I'll post some videos to help you. There's a fun little song if like you can memorize things using a song really easily. I've got a couple of them that I'll post to help you, but these you do just have to memorize. Now, what do we know about verbs that use être as the helping verb in the passé composé? What happens to their past participle? They have to agree. The past participle has to agree with the subject. So we can see here, Christine est devenue très pâle. Okay, Christine became very pale. Right, our helping verb is the present tense of être, because devenir is a Vandertramp. And then we know the past participle is devenu, and we add an e to match our subject, which is singular and feminine. So we just add an e. Then, next, les touristes sont restés au parc. The tourists stayed in the park. So we can see être is our helping verb, conjugated for les touristes, ils, ils. and then we make our past participle agree with our subject. This is masculine and plural, so this is masculine and plural. Then, nous sommes entrés dans le café. We entered the cafe. You can see here in French, when you use the verb enter, you have to have a preposition. The preposition dans has to come after it. We entered in the cafe. In English, we don't need it, but in French, anytime you're using entrer, you should probably follow it up with dans. Anyway, sommes is the conjugated version of être, or form of être. That's our helping verb. Entrer agrees with nous. Nous is plural, so we add an S. Then, finally, this is what I was talking about with passer. It's a VANDERTRAMPP if it is a verb of like passing in front of something. So je suis passé la maison. I passed the house. Suis is our helping verb, conjugated for je, present tense of être. Passer here has an extra E because I was writing the sentence. I am a woman, so singular and feminine, so we add an E. And this is it. This is the main chunk of this lesson. It is very logical, and as long as you can memorize which verbs take être as the helping verb, you'll be totally fine. So let's look at your practice for this section. This is really good practice because you're mixing your new verbs, your VANDERTRAMPP, that new concept, with the regular passé composé. So, describe what the following people did. First, determine the chronological order in which the actions occurred by numbering them 1, 2, 3, etc. Then, write out the corresponding sentences in the correct order using the passé composé. Okay, so there are a few things at work here. You have to be able to comprehend sentences and be able to decide what order these things would happen in. And then you have to be able to put those verbs into the passé composé correctly. You have to be able to determine, okay, is this a VANDERTRAMPP? If yes, then I need to use être as the helping verb and make the past participle agree. Is it not a VANDERTRAMPP? Okay, in that case, I need to make the helping verb avoir and just leave the past participle alone. And then you also have to be thinking about which are my irregular past participles. There's quite a few moving pieces, but that's why this is a really good assignment. It will feel a little bit difficult, but you'll be okay. Let's look at this first section. So in this first one, I've already numbered them for you. Stéphanie a acheté une nouvelle robe. Stephanie bought a new dress. Okay, so I've got here in the infinitive form a bunch of phrases. Anyway, sorry, I hope that cut wasn't weird. So these are numbered correctly. So first she's going to go to the store, then she's going to pick out a red dress, then she's going to pay, then she's going to leave with her package. Okay, so I've also already conjugated our first one here for you. So we can see this is up first. Aller is a VANDERTRAMPP, so I needed to use the helping verb être. So that's what I've got here, elle est. Then the past participle for aller is alle, acute. But I know since my helping verb is être, the past participle has to agree with the subject. So I add an E because elle is singular and feminine. So I just add an E to make it feminine. That's what you're doing for each of these. So number 2, choisir une robe rouge. Choisir, not a VANDERTRAMPP, so you'll just do your normal passé composé procedure. The helping verb will be avoir, so we conjugate that for elle, elle a. And then choisir has a normal past participle, so you drop the IR and add I. Elle a choisi, and then you just finish out the sentence, une robe rouge. That's it. That's this whole section. Some of them are longer than others. The last one has 7 different things you need to put in order. That's what you're asking yourself. Each time you look at one of these, you think, okay, is this a VANDERTRAMPP? Is it not a VANDERTRAMPP? What's my helping verb? What happens to the past participle? That's it. There will be a key. There is a key at the bottom, so you can check your work. And there's only going to be one more section of notes on this, but I will put an extra practice for this, because this is going to be important for your 2.8 quiz and your Unit 2 test. We're going to finish Unit 2 before spring break. It's going to feel a little fast, but it's going to be okay. this is, like I said, super logical. Email me if you have any questions, and au revoir.